record because people are there. And this is setting off a culture war. And see, that's what I'm saying. The globalists are a tiny... And we're showing photos and news articles right now on screen if you're looking at Prisonplanet.tv of lines out the door. The globalists get up there on the Olympics and want to show men humping each other and women kissing each other. And it's not even an attack on people of that persuasion to say, don't show sex to kids. Don't push an agenda. That's creepy. That's really creepy. You know, leave our children alone. It's real simple. And now they want to attack our free speech. I mean, it's just like they came out after they clearly staged that shooting in Aurora. They now got a drugged out, Patsy up there. And they said, we're going to get your guns. And gun sales doubled, and pro-gun polls went up on average about 5 points. The vast majority of Americans are pro-gun or are becoming pro-gun right now. And even Time Magazine admits that in the current issue, How Guns Won. And they go on to say that American people have turned against gun control. No, we've turned against tyrant control freaks taking our tax money, arming to the teeth against us, trying to train the military and police against us so offshore banks can rob this country. And so this is what's happening. They are trying to shut it down, and instead it's making record profits. Record profits, selling out of its food. Can't even supply enough of it. Because people are sick of it. They are tired of people that had parents that repressed them or whatever, who then become extreme, quote, liberals, and who just want to do a bunch of weird stuff to themselves. I mean, now sexual deviancy is getting to the point of people having arms and legs cut off because they think it's sexy. Okay, if you want to go chop your arms and legs off, do it. Just don't tell me about how great it is all day, okay? I mean, look, the point is, this is what happens in decadent societies right before societal collapse. It happens in every culture. People recognize that, and there's a rebellion against it. So good, get more radical, push more stuff, try to shut our businesses down. Let's get it all out in the open. All right, big economic and geopolitical news straight ahead. All right, my friends, we are back live. Let me run through some of the news here. I already mentioned Chick-fil-A sets a world record. It's being reported by the Associated Press, the Weekly Standard, you name it, selling out of chicken nationwide. So you get some mafia bully over Chicago going, we're going to shut you down. And everybody goes and buys their chicken up. I mean, think about that. Somebody can't have their view that two men or two women shouldn't be able to get married and then have all the, state conventions that are involved in it. I mean, regardless of which side of that debate you're on, you've got to agree you shouldn't shut down someone's business because the political commissars in a city or a town don't like what you're doing. That is the essence of oppression. And I meant to get to other news. It is so heartening to see the fact that people don't buy any of this anymore. Again, even if you were someone who had a non-conventional sexual orientation, do you really want to shut down businesses all over the U.S. because the company owner disagrees with you? And people defend this. This is what this liberal tyranny is all about. It's not liberal at all. It's about picking winners and losers. You take right here in Austin, Texas, if you don't go before the city council, and if you're not one of their little insider buddies that gives them campaign donations and hires their family members, you're not going to build anything in this town anymore. The code inspectors are out of control. They'll come to somebody and say, well, you've got a tree on your property. You can't build anything here. You have to get permission to cut a tree now. But then if their buddies want to build a golf course and cut down, 10,000 trees, hey, knock it out. Cut down giant oak trees. Do whatever you want. Again, it's about selective enforcement in our society. Speaking of the nanny state, I have a stack of articles here. Are they going to ban knives? Xbox chat leads to violent attack in Oakley. CBS 13, an online fight led to an in-person attack. for a young man in Oakley, and he ended up with nearly 24 stab wounds. Well, got to ban knives. It's not the fault of the guy that stabbed him. Here's one out of China, Associated Press. Teenager kills 8, wounds 5 in China knife attack. His girlfriend broke up with him, so he went and stabbed everybody. Well, the answer is the Second Amendment did that over here in America. I mean, the Second Amendment caused Mexico to have problems when the government shipped the guns in and blamed the Second Amendment. Of course, Al-Qaeda, too, is a big problem. That's why our criminal government's putting them into Libya and Syria, and that's all over the news, too, but it's not a big news issue. Oh, Al-Qaeda works for our government. Oh, yeah, but well, yeah. That Alex Jones is bad for saying they did on 9/11. A teenager killed 8 people with a knife and wounded 5 more in northeast China after falling out with his girlfriend, state media said Thursday. The teen killed 2 of her family members and 6 more people before fleeing. The state-run legal daily newspaper said it reported he was caught but did not describe the circumstances. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. 17-year-old kills 8, wounds 5, and you know whose fault that is, George Washington. They got a new ABC News show coming out called Founding Fathers that demonizes gun owners and Texans. I mean, absolutely. I mean, look, if somebody slips on a banana peel in South Africa or Israel or Germany or Russia, you know who did it, George Washington. If you get a cold, you know who did it? Conservatives, libertarians, all our fault. The #1 terror threat is returning veterans. They're so evil. Oh, look at this, Washington Post. 2 planes taking off from National put on collision course with plane trying to land. 3 commuter jets came within seconds of mid-air collision. Of course, in the last few months, drones have almost crashed a couple times. But, of course, the answer is going to be make everything be robotically controlled by a central system, which globalists control, of course, and let all the cars be robotically run, and that will end all these problems. That's where the technocracy is going with all of this. I thought I would just, oh, look, missile defense staff warned to stop serving porn sites. Bloomberg. They can't even control themselves if they want to run our lives. Pelosi says, and Dems push Homeland Security for clarity on lesbian, gay, transgender people. So they're there to get special rights and not be deported.
We're on the march. The empire.
Again, I was just psychoanalyzing my own self why I'm so freaked out. And maybe it's because the Ayatollah that runs Iran, Ahmadinejad's a puppet. They allow you to run over there and allow you to win, kind of like our system. They said they're prepared for war in the next 2 weeks. The former head of the Mossad that quit about 2 years ago, saying an attack on Iran is a very bad idea. He came out and told Iran, prepare to be attacked, warning in the next 12 weeks, which generally would be treason. I mean, if a U.S. Former head of the CIA told the government, get ready to be hit in the next 12 weeks, even though that's a moral thing to do because the war is wrong and will destabilize things, it's a big deal to have someone come out and say, don't do that. We've had a bunch of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. We've had a bunch of them going back, 6 years or so, 7 years, refused to attack Iran. Netanyahu's saying time's running out. What's happening is the bankers are imploding the world economy right now, and they want a big political diversion to blame it all on, and to blame exploding oil prices and all the rest of it on. And that's the game plan. And the whole world is lining up for this huge intensification of crises. And the ships are massing, and they've done this a lot over the last 6, 7 years, but now it's the most intense it's ever been. And then you add to that, they have not had the military ready for martial law and running checkpoints everywhere and openly admitting that they're gearing up for it and getting ready for it all over the place. Now, I'm not saying we're going to have martial law in October as an October surprise with an attack on Iran, but all the evidence points in that direction. Can it be turned around? Maybe. And then I'm here on the air talking about people rebelling against political correctness and attacks on free speech by Chick-fil-A support. Congressman says we're still home of the brave, but we're not the land of the free anymore. Really, are we still the land of the brave to morally admit that we have criminals that have hijacked our country? Yeah, there's a lot of brave people left in this country. There's a lot of brave people everywhere. But there's also a lot of people living in delusion. A group of freshman congressmen came out yesterday and said that a regulation issued under Obamacare and Health Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius has taken freedom of religion away from Americans. Yeah, it has. You got to fund abortion. You got to hire people that aren't of your religion. Basically, it's killing free association. And that's always been their plan. That's just some of the information that we have here in front of us today. And it goes on and on and on. Look at this financial news. Fed holds off on new steps to stimulate U.S. economy. They have held back over a year with QE3, and you're in trouble if you do, you're in trouble if you don't. If they don't, the depression will accelerate. Most of my dad's patients that had good jobs 5 years ago have 2 low-pay jobs now. Everybody I talk to, even though Austin is per capita the wealthiest city in the country now, the best place to be, about half the restaurants I would go to in the past are closed. You go to stores, they've got about a third the people in them they had before. People are freaked out. And they tell us in the media, oh, the economy's great. Oh, but we never really got out of the recession 3.5 years ago. Well, that's called a depression. And then meanwhile, you have these mega banks that are publicly above the law doing anything they want, tax exempt. And I was reading where the gold medals are, what, 1.5% gold, or was it 1.8? 1.87. They're 1.87. Good job, CJ, knowing that. I saw the article yesterday. And the IRS is there to charge them. It's a gift. You're not supposed to even, they're setting a precedent where when somebody gives you a toy, you're supposed to pay taxes when you're a kid, or if somebody gives you, I mean, you know, and they're going after swap meets and garage sales and lemonade stands. This is the new economy where any barter or underground, bake sales, whatever, the IRS is showing up, and county and city people are showing up. They're not watching the mayor who's busy doing insider deals and making millions, ripping people off, you know, in your town, in many cases. They're not busy watching the mass criminality or the UN kidnapping kids inside the U.S. under diplomatic immunity and flying them to different countries, and even comes out in the news and nobody gets in trouble. They're not worried about any of that. They're there saying, we want, out of the tiny bit of gold, we want a couple $100 out of those fake gold medals. And I just thought that just absolutely illustrates how the mega banks and these globalists are all tax exempt. And what a joke it is, though, that they've got the tax enforcers. When they win a gold medal, they get a $10,000 per diem. They grab part of that. They grab part of their gold medal. Or they threaten to seize them if you don't immediately pay them. And the idea is you don't even get to pay at the end of the year the private Federal Reserve to their collection agency, the IRS. My dad was talking to a high-level IRS agent who's a whistleblower. Well, he's beginning to become a whistleblower. He's been there a while. We'll just leave it at that. And he said, yeah, guess who we are raising 70% of our money off of now? My dad met with him yesterday, and he's like, guess. 70